Okay, so I did a video earlier and I could tell the sound was off. So once I go to the screen, I'm going to try not to switch back to myself. All right, so we were doing How Pluto Stopped Being a Planet by Tyrone Nielsen. And let's see, let's do a quick read through. For decades, people believed our solar system had 9 planets: Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. But in 2006, a group of astronomers decided that Pluto was not a true planet, but something else, a dwarf planet. The term dwarf planet might make you think that Pluto was kicked out of the Planet Club solely because of its size. And it's true that Pluto is small compared with the planets. If Earth were the size of a basketball, Pluto would be the size of a golf ball. But Pluto's size isn't why most astronomers now call it a dwarf planet. So why the change to Pluto's status? Here's why. In August 2006, astronomers came up with a new definition of planet. To be a planet, they said, an object has to meet 3 conditions. It has to orbit the sun directly. It can't be a moon orbiting a planet. It has to be massive enough for its own gravity to pull it into the shape of a ball. And it has to have cleared its neighborhood of smaller objects around its orbit. In other words, during its trips around the sun, a planet must draw smaller objects into itself, or pull them into its orbit, or fling them off into space. Pluto does not meet the third condition. It hasn't cleared its neighborhood the way the planets have. It moves within a field of rock and ice objects that it cannot clear away. That's why most astronomers now call Pluto a dwarf planet. Now, not all astronomers accept the change to Pluto's status. Among other reasons, they feel that clearing the neighborhood isn't a well-defined concept. But most astronomers and museums and textbooks and teachers feel the new definition is clear enough to be useful. So long, Pluto. At least you're still with us as a dwarf planet. All right, now look at your close reading habits. It says, how does the article explain why astronomers reclassified Pluto? Reread the text. So we're going back to the text. Underline key details explaining why the astronomers changed Pluto's status. Now, if we were actually in class in person, that's what you would do, and then we would go over it. What we're going to do, however, instead is we know they start talking about the definition of a planet in paragraph 3 and why Pluto doesn't qualify in paragraph 4. So we're going to do that. So let's see. Let's look at our tools. Markup, underline, and we'll try blue. Actually, I think that might blend in with the white. Let's do green. Okay, it says, here's why. In August 2006, astronomers came up with a new definition of planet. To be a planet, they said an object has to meet 3 conditions. It has to orbit the sun directly. It can't be a moon orbiting a planet. It has to be massive enough for its own gravity to pull into the shape of a ball. And it has to have cleared its neighborhood of smaller objects around its orbit. In other words, during its trips around the sun, a planet must draw smaller objects into itself or pull them into its orbit or fling them off into space. Pluto does not meet the third condition. Okay, so we're looking at what the issue with Pluto is. It's not able to clear its neighborhood the way other planets have. And let's even put here, what's the definition of planet? It has to have cleared its neighborhood. Oh, did not want to do that. No. Okay. So I have these things highlighted. And now let's go to our questions. Okay, so we have question 1, and notice it says this question has 2 parts, part A and part B. Now, in previous years, I'm going to switch back for just a moment. I'm trying not to because I'm afraid it'll mess with the sound. In earlier years, if a student was taking, say, the LEAP, and there are part A and part B questions, if they got A correct and B wrong, they got partial credit. However, we have not had partial credit for 3 years now. Therefore, if any part of the question is incorrect, the whole thing is incorrect. Therefore, it's very, very important that you always go back to the text and check your answer to make sure that what you've said is correct. A lot of students get lazy because they're used to partial credit. And sometimes even in class, we used to offer partial credit for these types of questions, but it's At some point, you have to understand that if you get part of it wrong, it's all wrong. And that's how you'll be evaluated as fifth graders in spring. So we have to start getting into that mindset now. All right, so we go back to our article. What is the main idea of the science article by Tyrone Nilsson? Is it that A, a group of astronomers decided that Pluto is a dwarf planet? Well, that was part of it. B, Pluto is large enough to be a moon but too small to be a planet? C, many astronomers are pleased that Pluto is not a planet anymore. Or D, some astronomers still believe Pluto should be called a planet. Okay, so I'm going to use this tool to strike through answers we know are not true. And I would really like red for this. Okay, on the leap, you'll actually be able to do this. So let's think about things we know are not the answer. The main idea, many astronomers are pleased that Pluto is not a planet. It did mention that not everyone agrees, but I think that we can all agree that that would not be the main idea. Pluto is large enough to be a moon, but too small to be a planet. It never mentioned that, so we definitely know that's not it. Now let's look at these two. A group of astronomers decided that Pluto is a dwarf planet. Okay, we definitely know the article was about that. Some astronomers still believe Pluto should be called a planet. Okay, well, the article mentioned that some astronomers don't agree, but that was a minor point. Okay, so one of these is in the article and the other's in the article, but we want the main idea. So hopefully we can tell that this was not even a key detail, but a minor one, and that this would be the main idea. Let's do a different color. Let's do, there we go. I know you're like, it doesn't matter. Okay. Part B. Which statement from the text best supports the answer to part A? Look at this word here in bold, best. You will be asked this a lot on LEAP. And that's why I like iReady, because it gets you ready for that. Which statement from the text best supports the answer to part A? That means there are options in A through D that may sort of support this idea, but you want the best. Okay, so we're going to start our elimination. For decades, people believed our solar system had 9 planets. Okay, that's evidence. And it's true that Pluto is small compared with the planets. In August 2006, astronomers came up with a new definition of planet. It has to be massive enough for its own gravity to pull into the shape of a ball. All of these are direct quotes. So all of these are details, and some might even be key details, but we want the best evidence. So for decades, people believed that our solar system had 9 planets. That really wouldn't go with it. And it's true that Pluto is small compared with the planets. A lot of students I have found in earlier years choose option B because they see dwarf and small. But remember, we're looking for evidence that supports what happened. It's not that Pluto's a dwarf planet, it's that astronomers decided. Astronomers would be our subject, decided would be the verb. So it's not Pluto being a dwarf planet, it's astronomers deciding it. So while it's true that it's small, that's not going to help. Okay, C. In August 2006, astronomers came up with a new definition of planet. Okay, our subject's astronomers. Down here it's astronomers, so that might be the option. Let's look at D. It has to be massive enough for its own gravity to pull into the shape of a ball. That's part of the definition they came up with, but that's a detail that supports this key detail here. It's not actually a major part of the main idea. So our answer is going to be C. All right, question 2. Now notice, I had to get both of these correct. Both of these correct. In order to get question 1 right. Says, which of these is most clearly a key detail of the passage? Okay, I'm looking for a key detail. Would it be, and it's true that Pluto is small compared with the planets? Maybe. If Earth were the size of a basketball, Pluto would be the size of a golf ball. hopefully we can tell that that would not be, that's not one of them. It hasn't cleared its neighborhood the way the planets have. Not all astronomers accept the change to Pluto's status. We should know, while this is true, this is definitely a minor detail. It's not very important. So let's look at these two. And it's true that Pluto is small compared with the planets. Okay. It hasn't cleared its neighborhood the way the planets have. Why is Pluto no longer considered a planet, according to this article? It's because it doesn't meet the definition. And what part of the definition does it not meet? It would be this one. So this would be a key detail. If I were doing any kind of report about what I've read, this would be a key detail. And so that's our answer. All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop for today, and we're going to take this information and use it